Hey guys, Kid Broly back, and this is part 5 to What If Deku Had an Intelligence Quirk. I'm giving a shout out to Anime God. This is his picture, so yeah. Sorry I had to rush through that, but yeah. So, this is part 5. And we left off when Deku was getting interest to class 1B. He pretty much, yeah. It was pretty much, he was just getting introduced to it, so yeah. So, let's continue. So this is going to be the sports festival now. Deku is pretty much just going to be working on an invention for his leg, and it's just an invention to shoot a portal out of it. So he can do the same thing with his hand, but he decides to put it in his leg just in case. And he figures it out, and then he puts it in his leg, shoots it out during the beginning of the sports festival, and shoots it way to the end of the sports festival, and he basically just teleports there. And they all are wondering what his quirk is. They believe he has a teleport quirk. But he says, no. And, yeah. Basically, Aizawa explains to, Mike, I forget the rest of, his name, but, yeah. Basically, the announcer saying, Deku has an intelligence quirk, not a teleportation quirk. What you're seeing there was just his robotic leg and his robotic arm. And Mike basically says, well, isn't that cheating? And Aizawa says, technically no, because at this point, it's been legally accepted by the government that those are his body parts, and to treat them like a quirk, whatever they can do. And Mike basically says, how did he get the government to accept that? And Aizawa says he might be, the founder of Deku Corp. And Mike says, wait, does that mean? And Aizawa says, you are right. He is the person who founded Deku Corp, and he also is the founder of Deku College. Basically meaning that most of the people that graduate from there are trying to become a lawyer. And they also are the most known in the world for being trained from there. The best lawyers in the world are known for being trained by there. So, yeah. Pretty much the best lawyers in the world are trained at Deku Corp. So, yeah. And that Mike basically says, and that Aizawa says, not to mention that he has a PhD in literally everything in the world. And they're basically wondering, why is he still a kid? I mean, why is he still going to our school? And Aizawa says, he decided to enroll in here, even though he legally can be a hero by now, and should be a hero by now. And Deku basically says, well, I mean, Mike says, well, I guess we're going to have a really, really good year, especially Class 1A. And, yeah, Deku basically just is going to be waiting on everyone. He goes to the stadium, and yeah, thus in the Cavalry battle, he chooses Momo. Momo, the Shadowbird guy, and Mai. He doesn't choose Oraka because he doesn't know her, so yeah. Deku pretty much did try to save her, but she never got to thank him in person. So, yeah. Deku, well, basically just wins the Cavalry battle because he just pretty much creates a portal, goes on top of the stadium, and just wins. And the fighting thing, pretty much everyone's the same. You know what? It was just the same matchup too. He chose everyone the same. The bird guy, Mai, and Oraka. So yeah, that's who he chose for it. Because no one else would team with him. Not even, Momo. And yeah. Deku pretty much just took every headband he could. Even though he had like 10,000 points. So yeah. And the fighting thing, they're all the same. Deku, but Deku, once he meets, everyone's the same besides Deku's matches. So yeah, Deku pretty much goes up against, I forget his name, but it's the hypnosis guy. Deku goes, well, basically, if you're going to try, mind controlling me, I'm going to do the same thing. He basically plugs wires into the ground so he doesn't move, and then just plugs one into the mind control guy's head, and basically tells him, "You are going to fall off. You are going to be in a coma for a entire day," and his body obliges. And yeah, pretty much they say Deku wins against half and half Todoroki. It's basically Deku's going to be trying to get Todoroki to stop using his ice and start using his fire. So yeah, and if once he does that, once he gets Todoroki to use his fire side, Deku says, "Perfect. I finally can go all out against you." And then he brings his arm back, and you see these blades starting to appear out of his arm, and it pretty much becomes a giant fan because his arm is spinning so fast. It basically becomes a tornado, and it punches Todoroki straight in the face, equal to 100% of All Might strength, times 10. So 10,000 times 10,000% of All Might strength, and his prime. So yeah, yeah. And once Deku goes against Bakugo just says, "I give," because he does not want to go against that monster. Because if he does, he's probably going to lose a few limbs. So yeah. This is where I'm going to be ending this part off. Well, nah. I'm just going to do I'm just going to say that Deku says, "Hey Momo," right after this, "since I won, do you want to go on a date?" And she says, "Maybe." And Deku says, basically, is saying that's, thinking that's nice, and basically, they go on a date to an even more fancy restaurant, and basically basically agree that they're dating now, and basically have their first kiss. So yeah, Deku pretty much just teleports her home, and basically says, "So for anyone else but you, I would have charged them, but luckily it's you." And basically, kisses her hand, goes on one knee and kisses her hand, and he says, "My little princess," and she just starts blushing, and yeah, this is where I'm going to be ending. You know what? I'm just going to keep on going. And yeah, that's what happens after their date. I mean, that's what happens during their date. Deku goes home to his pet house and basically just, well, he goes to his pet house and, well, just goes and does a lot of paperwork. Like, it's an unbelievable amount. And he notices there's some homework sprinkled into it, so he does it anyways. Like, he's wondering how much homework he is going to have to do. So, yeah. And he finds out that he has to submit some tech and in class 1B, and he decides, what's the harm? And basically just invents a robot that makes butter. I mean, that passes butter. And if you don't get where that's coming from, shame on you. I mean, seriously, I got this what-if idea from Rick and Morty, so you should get it. So, yeah. And he passes that in, and just decides after school to just do some paperwork, go on another date with Momo, and they go to a privately owned theme park that Deku owns, and basically says, I bought this theme park just for a date, and basically just says, is basically just blushing at this point. Deku says, why don't we go on the roller coaster? Momo says, sure, why not? And they go on the roller coaster, and she didn't know that Deku improved on it, basically making it go really high up and really fast. She's basically just terrified of how high this is, how fast it is, and how unsafe she thinks it is. Basically, it's going really fast. And yeah, it's pretty much, and Deku is just saying, yeah, because this is now the most extreme theme park in the entire world. So yeah. Deku is pretty much just having a lot of fun with her. She says she needs to sit down for a bit. She throws up. And yeah, pretty much she didn't read the sign, and Deku didn't warn her that that ride is pretty extreme. Even though she was the one who suggested which one to go on. So yeah. Deku pretty much was advising that they don't go on it, but she says, what, are you chicken? And he says, no, I'm not. And just goes on it anyways without, telling her. And she's just throwing up. And yeah, Deku is very much just saying, I did warn you, we shouldn't go on that ride. And she said, you could have told me that it was going to make me throw up. And Deku says, well, you could have read and she sees, do not eat for 24 hours before riding this ride. And she says, how was I supposed to know? And Deku says, you should have read. And yeah, pretty much she thought it was like saying, don't bring any food or something like that. So yeah. And Deku is pretty much just having a lot of fun. So she suggests, why don't we go on the Ferris wheel? And Deku says, yeah, that sounds fun. And yeah, they go on the Ferris wheel. And, well, they have their first kiss. And yeah, that's kind of what I said earlier, but yeah, this is going to be their first kiss on their third date. So yeah, it's when it's on top of the Ferris wheel, just before sun, just on when it's dawn, and yeah, I mean when it's dusk. No, twilight. It's twilight. Sorry, but yeah, it's going to be twilight. You can see both the moon and the sun at the same time. It's going to be a beautiful spectacle. And yeah, pretty much that's when they have it, when it's right on top. When, when they're right on the very top of the Ferris wheel. So yeah. Uh, hmm. Yeah, that's going to be their third date. And once Deku goes back home, he just does a lot of paperwork. Well, once he drops, you know, once he drops Momo off at home, he says, I had fun, and let's have another. And basically just kisses her hand goodbye. Well, kisses her on the cheek. Yeah, kisses her on the cheek for goodbye. And Momo's parents are thinking they are moving pretty quickly. And yeah, because it's only been it's been only a couple days. So yeah. Well, yeah. Well, it's been like a couple days, I want to say. So yeah. I'm going to be ending my whiff here. So see you guys later, and peace.